Hello to all you guys out there in YouTube land. Yes, it's me, DR. And I've decidedly gone bald, even though it's cold outside. And I thought I'd try my new webcam thing. It's like new old HD, not HD. You're probably a fan of the laptop. I've gone proper lo-fi. But, so what's the purpose of the video? To be honest, one was to test this bad boy there. There. And two, I actually, God, look at this, unprepared videos. I just wanted to kind of come online. I've withdrawn myself away from sort of the community that labels itself the atheist community, mainly because I think it's become very social justice-y, and I've kind of got tired of the social justice discussion. I think it's relevant, I think it's important, but for me, I've become very tired of it. I'll give you an example, and this is probably going to get me in a lot of trouble with a lot of people, but there was a discussion about what qualifies as abusive conversations, what we would describe as oppression, what we would describe as sexist behaviour, racist behaviour, things like that. So, and I paraphrase. I'm going to paraphrase now, so apologies if I don't get it strictly true. But basically what happened was I was listening to a discussion online, video debate, conversation, whatever you want to call it. And what as I say, I'm paraphrasing. What transpired was that a person was describing abuse that they had suffered. So I was quite intrigued. I was quite interested just to understand kind of, what was the background. As with all things human being, we like a narrative, we like a story, we like a description. So for me, it was really important to understand what happened and what had taken place. So this person was female. It's kind of irrelevant in terms of my point, but hey, she was talking about the fact that she had done a presentation. So she put a lot of work and effort into this. It was really important for her work or for a job. And her boss, who was male, said in a meeting, "That was a really good presentation. Your hair looked really nice." And like most people, I was expecting something else to have happened. This was a story about abuse. This was a story about an incredible injustice that had taken place, and that was the story. That was it. That's all I was left with. My phone is going wild. It's decided this is the right time to do that. Everything is decided this is the right time to make noise. My laptop's decided this is the right time to make an annoying buzzing sound. Brilliant. Anyway, so for me, what I was expecting something else. Now, I'm not a martyr, but I've been the subject of abuse. See, everything is decided it wants to go off at this precise moment. So I've been the subject of abuse. And now my laptop gets loud. Oh, this is fun and games. So as I was saying, I've been the subject of abuse. I've been the subject of obvious prejudice. And maybe I'll go into some of those tales later. Maybe I should kind of document them out. I find them quite funny, but other people don't. I find it quite amusing because really it highlights other people's prejudice rather than my own. But cut long story short, that was the story. So part A, and I'm trying to, as I'm retelling this story, I'm trying to illustrate kind of my confusion with this. Maybe someone in the comment section down there will write in and tell me what happened and what did I miss. So a woman had done a presentation, a man had commented on the presentation and said with the comment about the presentation, which was positive, that he'd really liked her hair. Now, for me, I added in the sex. Maybe I shouldn't have done. Maybe I said person X. Person A did presentation. Person B said, that's a really good presentation and I liked your hair. This is now what we're defining as extreme prejudice. This is now, in this current society, what we're saying is extreme prejudice. So it's not, it's not women being sold in the sex trade. It's not modern slavery. It's not how we treat others with such disdain and disrespect. That's not prejudice to be verbalized about. It's about the fact that someone said that they had nice hair and therefore they were objectifying that person, and that made person A feel like they were just an object, and that is a type of discrimination we really need to focus all of our time and attention. Now maybe I'm putting this massive straw man, but that was what I got out of it. That was the impression that I got out of it. And I then could imagine how, as someone who would feel oppressed, so for example, I don't know, someone who's Caucasian and male, someone who at the moment feels that potentially there's a bigger arrow pointing at them for the first time, and having never dealt with that situation, kicks back and fights back. Listening to that statement would then think it's ridiculous. So I'm kind of on this weird precipice. I'm the ultimate in splinters. I've got splinters. I'm sitting there because I understand what's happening here, and I understand what's happening here, and I find myself flip-flopping. I find myself, I'm not right or left, I'm neither. And it's scary for me, because what I've found is that to fight against the ridiculousness of one position, people have flip-flopped and gone so far in the other direction that actually they're equally as ridiculous. And that's one of the reasons why I've left what I call the atheistic community, because both sides, both positions are becoming ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So the people on this side going, you're oppressing me for talking about the colour of my hair and giving me a compliment about the colour of my hair, are giving validity to the people on this side who are talking about how ridiculous it is to talk about the colour of someone's hair. So I can only equate it to the US situation. Yes, there's a lot of people who are being accused of sexual assault, and they have done it. So there's no way in hell this video is advocating sexual assault. I'm just putting it out there right from the get-go. There is no way. I'm not advocating sexual assault. I think if it happens to anybody, it's atrocious. It's a terrible thing, and anyone who does it is scum, pardon my French. But for me, there is a fundamental difference between an accusation and a confirmation of guilt. And the problem that I'm having is the accusations, no matter how much volume they have, are not a confirmation of guilt. So let's put this another way. I'm a teacher. I'm not, but let's just say I'm a fictional teacher, and I have a classroom of 30 students, because that's kind of the average size of a classroom at the moment. So I turn around and to my students, I've turned the volume down a little bit to stop it clipping. I think it was clipping, I don't know. Anyway, I'm recording this and I'm not editing it. I don't care. Anyway, so I'm a I'm a teacher, and I have 30 students. One of my students is called Billy. 29 of my students accuse Billy of drinking the milk. Now you might say that's proof, yeah, that Billy's drunk the milk, because the volume of accusations means that Billy must have drunk the milk. But until I investigate, until I actually understand, until I do some digging, so for example, I look through the attendance records and Billy wasn't in school. Until I do that, they are simply accusations. And at the volume of the accusations, you still have to treat them as such. But currently, in this situation, when we use something a bit more volatile, like sexual abuse, the volume of accusations are being treated as if they are confirmations of guilt. Now, I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not saying that they are. I'm just saying we need to understand what they are. And I think because there's a situation that there's been so much volatility from one position, that the people on the other side of the fight are almost kind of going too far in the other direction. And for me, that's a scary thought. And it's scary it's happening. And I'm finding myself becoming, as I said, a fence sitter, because I'm in the centre. I'm just sitting there because I don't want to agree with these people, even though some things I agree with. Some things I agree with on this side, but the majority of things I don't. And now I'm finding myself, when I look over there, finding myself in a very similar position. And I find that on YouTube. So when I hear two people discuss I find that what they tend to do is straw man it to the degree that I'm kind of in the centre. Unless it's something, I don't want to say fundamentally obvious, but something that there's at least empirical evidence. So, for example, like flat earthers, I can't be on the side of flat earthers. It doesn't make sense. No evidence points in the direction of there being a flat earth. So, I'm not a flat earther. But when it comes to things that are quite subjective, moral arguments, things that actually you can be on two sides of it, because you're really having thought experiments, because until you do it, you don't really know what's going to happen. You can look at the past and say, this is what's happened in those situations. But actually, we can't look at the future and say, this is what is going to happen. We can review the past and understand that. So when we're talking about things that involve some degree of conceptualization of the future, I find myself sitting in the center, because either side is ridiculous. Now, how I got to this point in the stream of consciousness, I don't understand. I don't know. I think it just sums up my feelings about YouTube at the moment and the so-called atheist community, that we've become more social justicey, and what I found is there's extremes on either side. I mean, there's still bastions of what I kind of call uncommon sense, which are people like Noel Plum, who I absolutely think is fantastic. But I still find myself sitting on the two sides of the fence there, going, okay, I don't agree with you, but I don't agree with you. So I'm kind of struggling to, I don't want to say find a home. That sounds a bit like, but I'm struggling to find a place. I think when the atheist community was debating with theists, it was a lot easier for me to understand that, because theists at least had some kind of objective thing to look at. The Bible, there was still something that we could kind of discuss, and even though there was a lot of kind of subjective views in there, finding social justice, it's a lot more subjective. It's a lot more feely, and I get that feelings are important, but the problem is when you talk about feelings, the feelings are all relevant to people, so there's less inclination for people to have a reasoned dialogue, because it is emotionally based, it is emotionally charged, and it's hard to tell someone their feelings are wrong, or it's hard for someone to accept when someone tells them their feelings are wrong. Anyway, this is me, DR, saying apologies for the sound quality. It's probably atrocious, and apologies for the length of the video, because I've come up to 15 minutes. And that was really kind of a stream of consciousness about kind of YouTube and my feelings about it at the moment. Apologies, guys. Anyway, have a peace out. Have a safe journey wherever we're heading. And thanks for watching. Bye.